Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ray and Zach channel without Ray or Zach.
They're not
We're
here.
here today with Justice and the great and wonderful Phil. I have questions for everybody out there, by the way. Is Phil over here? For me, he's over here, but yesterday everyone seemed to think that they were on the other side. So are you on this side of me, Phil, or are you on that side of me?
I don't know. The way I'm looking at it, you're on the left. You're right
Yeah,
here.
okay.
So as I'm
Yeah, okay.
pointing, you're there.
I just want to make sure because I was pointing to Mario the other day, and everyone kept saying he's on the other side of you. So that gets awkward. I'm like, okay.
It
Uh,
can. It can.
anyway, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. It's the yeah. See, so George says it's the other side. So you're over
Oh,
here
okay.
tonight, which
All right.
is weird. We're backwards. That's okay.
That's
No,
fine.
Ray and Zach have not checked out forever. They are just vacationing in the islands. They have run away for tax season and they are laying on the beach. Uh, so
A much
no
needed vacation
EV
for them.
talk here today. Come on, Susanna. I have made sure I barely talk EVs on this channel just because I don't want that reputation. So let's dive into the Tesla news. Oh wait, no, that's the other
No. Oh,
channel.
that was funny. I was like, wait a minute. That's not on the agenda. You just said you're not going to talk EV.
No, but there is great Tesla news that we'll be talking about on Unplugged. So
Yeah.
Uh, so what are we talking about today? We are talking about the bubble bursting, right? It's all over, right, Phil? Everyone should just
We're
run
done.
out and buy a car because the
That's it.
bubble is burst and it's the buyer's market.
That's what I hear. That's what I'm
It's
seeing across everywhere, right? I mean, oh my God, this great big bubble is going. It's done. We're done. The car business is history. Not at all happening.
yeah. So I think our lead headline today is the bubbles burst, but as we're looking here from Cox Automotive, who owns Kelly Blue Book, if you're never sure on what side Kelly Blue Book is on, yours or the dealers, then you can know they're owned by Cox Automotive.
That should tell you
So,
everything.
yep, that should. But we like Cox Automotive. They have great information.
Mhm.
So according to their surveys, the average market day supply they want to be in traditional times is what, Phil? 60 days, right?
Yep, it's about 60. It is.
So with another 15 days of like orders and transit and stuff like that. But a 60
However,
day supply.
I would argue domestic brands would probably push that even higher in terms of a day supply.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think this is
Mhm.
just the market overall, but you're right. The Rams and the Fords and the stuff, probably a little bit longer.
Yep.
So according to Cox Automotive, though, we are now at a 56-day supply in the average market, which I have seen a lot more. I'm not going to say I see 56 days. I don't have all the same information that Cox Automotive has. I have anecdotal information, of course, just from the deals we see. But I'm
Hmm.
definitely seeing well over 40 days on average now when we're looking at vehicles and we're looking at deals. So Cox is saying 56-day supply, which is 58% higher than it was a year ago. So
That's yep.
the
True.
day supply is definitely a good indication of whether you can negotiate on a deal, what kind of deals you're going to get. What do you think this is going to do to the market with these supplies?
Well, first of all, let's. I. It's great to see the supply number up. People have to be able to afford to buy them, Justice,
Yeah.
as we've all talked about. It's like uh, with the day supply up, cars are plentiful, but they're still $60,000. I know we hear Ray harp on this time and time again, right? Um, it's still pushing people to the used market though, because people just can't with the interest rates, and people just can afford to actually buy them.
Yeah. I mean, certainly the MSRPs having gone up just steadily over the last 2 years does not help this. You can have a great day supply, but is the day supply going up because people can't afford cars? Is that why there's more there?
So I think it's both, right? I think it's number one, we're not being constrained as much as we were, so they're able to produce the vehicles and get some inventory on the dealers' lots, um, and so even though we've got all that, people are in, mostly the trucks, right? We've got the Rams, we've got the Silverados, we've got a tremendous supply of those vehicles. Look at Buick, right? They're up at the top too. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that it's a combination of having all the vehicles there out in the market, and the OEMs being able to supply it. But with the interest rates, it's kind of prohibiting people from actually purchasing these vehicles, and also the ones that no one wants, right? So the higher demand vehicles, yep, especially the 1500s.
Yeah, well, and stop with the EV comments, guys. I don't want to talk EVs. You're giving me a reputation here. But to that point, with the increase of EV interest and ownership, which you are not going to get a discount on unless you're, trying to buy from a company that just keeps dropping their prices every 5 seconds. So unless, with that, and you're not going to get a discount on most EVs. So that's taking some of the market share away from these traditional vehicles, I think. And, that's part of, I think, what's going on here. People holding off longer to buy vehicles, hang on to the vehicles longer. These pricing people out. We have a story here about some subprime auto lenders that are just like shuttering their doors because even the used cars are so expensive. So I think that definitely has something to do with it there too.
Absolutely.
Prices, I think, are a lot of why inventory is going up. You're just pricing people out of the market. We had a member come on to live chat yesterday, talking to me, looking for a sub $8,000 vehicle for her son, his first vehicle. Let me tell you how hard that is to find. Like, searching through, you almost have to go private party. And then you're like, oh, what are you getting? You better get that PPI because, oh my.
Absolutely.
Even
if you're buying from a dealer, you get the PPI.
Well, yeah. I mean, you always get the PPI. That's very important.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Hey, Phil, your phone's on.
I know. Sorry.
No, it's all right. So Ray has that problem too. People don't know. Don't call him.
Yeah, don't stop.
We have Grease Belly who thinks after a nuclear war, only Wranglers, Twinkies, and cockroaches will be left. So that's interesting. But I know, those Wranglers are out there a lot. You can get great deals on Wranglers right now. The 4xe is one of the best lease that you can get.
Yes, they are. I mean,
certainly, if you're looking to go that direction, they're amazing.
Absolutely, and Chrysler Capital will give you the $7,500 credit as a cap cost reduction. I mean, that makes the lease very very good, right? So it's not going to be huge. Oh wait, did Mario say no longer?
Oh, maybe that changed yesterday with the new rules.
It could have.
It may have. It may have. I did not do a Wrangler deal in the last 2 days. So, but on the other side of things, we have Motor Trader saying stock availability is the biggest challenge facing car dealers. For those of us who say, well, I read different information than what you guys are saying. Yeah, so do we. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm a Motor Trader. I do read them, but their information versus Cox Automotive, I might lean towards Cox Automotive as they're the largest group out there.
Yeah.
But when they're surveying dealers, 32% say staying profitable is difficult. 27% or 20% say they're optimistic. 27% say they're more pessimistic about inventory levels going into this year, later this year. So there's there's conflicting information out there. I'd say Cox Automotive is using data and Motor Traders talking to dealers about their
Correct.
feelings.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and the dealer
Feelings don't
feeling
work.
can be very different than dealers are a panicky bunch, as I have learned over
They are.
the years.
They're very reactive, right?
Yes, they're very reactive to it.
So
To what's going on and to what it is, and then they'll be, no, we're sticking to our guns right now, and we're not going to negotiate a penny. And a week later, they'll be like, "Please take this car, please take it."
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, that's kind of how they are.
I can see a challenge with used car lots now. I mean, so what do we got going against them with this? We've got, first of all, even though we've got new car inventory, folks are not buying a lot of them, so people are not trading a lot, right? So dealerships are not able to get these trades, good quality trades, to be able to put on their lot and sell. So where are they going? They're going to the auctions, and they're paying a premium right now to get them. So that just cuts into their margins. So they're not making as much on each car, and I can understand the concern there. Plus, they're not getting any lease returns. Lease has been dead for the last year and a half.
Yeah, and I think that is a big deal. Like in this lease, these companies, OEMs, especially dealers, have been relying on leases for so many years to fill their inventories. That's a reliable, X amount every year to come filling in. And now, when the OEMs stopped supporting leases, and in many cases it was easier and better to finance than it was to lease, that's hurting now. And we kind of knew that. We've been talking about that for a year and a half, 2 years now, that we knew this day would be coming where the used inventory starts getting shorter. Yep. But I think that's a problem that's going to continue on for quite some time. Not just lease returns, but people hanging on to their cars. People not during the pandemic not having bought. So, 3 years later, which we're 2023, we're kind of starting 23, 24, you're going to start not seeing the used vehicles show up. So that's going to continue sort of some of this trend. But as long as we can build up some inventory on the lots, and I think this is new inventory we were talking about, then will be better.
Yep. I mean, in my area, in the Detroit area, I've seen a plethora of dealerships that have a significant amount of used car stock. So I read this stuff and but what you see happening around you isn't necessarily kind of matching up. But I do understand the concern, moving forward as they do face a challenge here because of the demand for used vehicles and the lack thereof getting replacements for that.
Yeah. And, it is, we talk about this all the time. It's so regional. I'm out here in California in fantasy land, and I know that, the things I see here, I do deals all over the country, and they don't match up with what I see for so many others. The 1500 series, I would tell you that for the last, almost year, you could get great discounts anywhere you are, 10, 12, 15% on them. But in the last 2 weeks, the Midwest, no, they just started clamping down. They're like, no, we're not going to give you that discount.
Yep.
Everywhere else in the country is still the same. You get huge discounts. In the Midwest, they're going like, I'll give you 3%.
Yeah.
And you kind of go, what? Like, why would you? I mean, when the discounts are that big, you just go out of state and have it shipped to you, right?
Because even with paying the shipping cost, you're still getting a better deal overall.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And then, Mrs. Carr questions answered. Thank you for being here. Vans are tough. Anything with third row seats, yes. I get this a lot too on the transit vans. everyone seems to want these transit and sprinter vans. Like
You
you're
can't
not
get
going to
those.
get a discount. Good luck even finding one. They are
Yep.
so hard. Third row SUVs, as she says, absolutely. They're it's hard to get a discount. There are certain vehicles that are still uh, even straight gas. You're just going to have a hard time with. It just the way it is. And then we have things like this with the subprime firm U.S. Auto Sales closed all their dealerships. They're a
Uh-huh.
huge subprime lender that lent to, Mr. Car Questions answered to Brandon over there, who's finding inexpensive vehicles that they can sell and people can just ride and fix and just keep and not have these payments and stuff. Well, these ones weren't really looking for the people who weren't looking for payments. They're
Uh-huh.
doing subprime lending for people, but they just fired all their staff one day and closed up shop all of a sudden because they cannot get vehicles cheap enough. They can't get the rates low enough. So even trying to do to subprime borrowers, they're just not being able to qualify people. And I think
Right.
that is a really big portion of what's going on to build up this inventory is there's just less people qualifying to be able to buy a vehicle at a
That's
price that you can
true.
afford. Let's hope that they're not just getting in prices they can't afford.
No, well, correct. So we've got a couple things going on, right? We've got lenders that don't want to lend on this, right? Interest rates are
Yep.
huge, and they don't want to lend on a subprime to an overvalued car. They don't want to be in a position where where the bank's upside down with the car, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't think
there's
we're doing 170% lending anymore.
no,
Like we're at the height of
no.
the pandemic, which was insane already anyway.
Yep. Yep. And tax season hasn't, helped at all. I mean,
No,
as what the industry says, it was just a blip, right? So
barely
like
that. Yeah. It-
people are not getting cash in their hands to be able to put down the down payments to get the car or to get yourself into a position that the bank's gonna want to buy it at. And with the fact that these banks are getting out of subprime lending, most of them are.
well, and even the one, so what subprime lending, I've seen interest rates as high as 28%. Like, okay, if you have
Mm-hmm.
a 28% interest rate on a vehicle that you can barely afford, I mean, let's all be honest, if you have a 28% interest rate, you probably can't afford that vehicle in the first place.
Right.
So, like, your payments are still like $1,000. If you have subprime, likely you can't afford $1,000 a month car payment. So
Oh no.
you've just been
I mean,
priced
the
out
average.
of. Yeah, I mean, I can't afford $1,000 car payment. I know everyone thinks, "Oh, you drive a Tesla, you're rich." No, I'm not. I can't afford that or anywhere near that. So yeah, subprime lending is so high. The interest rates are so high, which is, I guess, what the Fed wanted. This is what they had stated they wanted, and it does seem to be working. That we're getting this.
Yep. Yep.
So
It's
we have
unfortunate.
David here with a comment. 840. Thank you, David. 846 credit rating, combined 300,000 yearly income. Good for you. Denied a $10,000 loan on a $17,000 car because the mileage is 138,000 was too high for 2017 Prius. Well, I mean, that is a lot of miles.
It is. It just looks like that bank just didn't. No banks wanted to finance that
Yeah, I mean
for
that's
whatever reasons.
23,000 miles a year. So, yeah, I mean I could anything over 100,000 miles, I would think you're going to have a harder time financing just in general, or you're going to have a high rate.
That's always been generally speaking.
Yeah.
I think last year, when the inventories were tight, the banks were kind of turning an eye to that. They were like, whatever we can get financed for people, they would do it.
Yeah. There was, I mean, that's how we got into the 2008 debacle, right? I was doing some real estate stuff in the early 2000s, and some of the stuff I saw, stated income stuff. like no one's checking, you're just doing like, yeah, that always leads to problems. And, if you're getting into a car upside down, I know some people say, you shouldn't be making a payment at all. Um, that's a nice thought, but not everybody in this country is in that situation. And you're going to need a car to get to work. And don't say public transportation, because there's only a few cities where you can use public transportation reliably. I will tell you that I'm in a major market. I'm in Sacramento. I'm in the capital of California. You cannot rely on the public transportation here. Many times buses just don't come at all for the time, so they skip a time. They're late constantly. There's very few and far between. It could take you 3 hours to get what it takes me 10 minutes to drive. So, like, that's not always the case. I'm just saying different people are in different situations. The ones that are desperate, that need the car to get to work, to make money, to pay their bills, to put food on the table. They're the ones who are getting crushed by this the most. They're the ones that need the car questions answered people out there. We need more of them out there trying to help these people just get to work, get food on their table, and get past it. And they can't afford to buy a $5,000 car. Sometimes they need to finance just that, just to get through and buy. Lest we forget, most Americans don't have $1,000 in savings in case of emergency. That is the majority of Americans now. So I mean, that's awful. BART is the Bay Area, James. I'm more inland than that. BART actually is pretty reliable. If you're in the Bay, you can get really good transportation, public transportation. It's about all I have to say good about the Bay. Their public transportation is great. And then last story to cover, Phil, today, I think Hyundai is speeding up the software fix to their easy-to-steal vehicles. I love the easy to steal as if it's a feature. Well, we have easy-to-steal vehicles that you can get. So, what I loved about this story was Hyundai basically pled on their hands and knees with AAA, please insure our vehicles. Please insure our vehicles, because lots of insurance companies have said, we're not renewing your policy on these vehicles because, a child with a TikTok access can steal your vehicle, right?
I mean, it's a bit more work to steal this car than what it really portrays, but
I mean, I will say this is not any harder to steal than a 1980s and before vehicle.
Correct.
You could just get in there and steal. Yeah, this is just people sort of exposed it, but insurance companies started canceling policies, right? They started saying, no, it's too easy. And now, so Hyundai is saying, you can come in, we can do these software fixes for most vehicles, although there's about 4.5 million Kia vehicles between 2011 and 2021 who are not able to have the software fix.
Right.
So Hyundai Kia is saying, we'll pay for the steering wheel locks. We'll reimburse you for that. In some extreme cases, they're saying we'll pay for your part or all of your alarm system if you want to have that installed. We'll help you get into a new vehicle, which is the one I kind of expected them to do. It's like, we'll give you special financing to buy a new vehicle. I
find it a joke about the alarm system. Alarm systems on cars, I mean, especially going back to like 2011 and whatnot, it's a joke. I mean, it doesn't really do anything.
No, I mean, we've all heard car alarms, and you don't even pay attention to them much anymore.
You don't anymore. You're like, turn it off.
If anything, you're just like, hey, shut that off. I don't care if you're stealing the car, just turn it off. I don't want to hear it. So the alarm system's a lot like security cameras, right? They are great for after the fact, but they're doing nothing otherwise. GPS devices, maybe, put those in there if you want to be tracked all the time anyway. But, there's a lot of, they're going in, they're reimbursing for all the county sheriff's departments and law enforcement that has come through and said, come pick up your free steering wheel lock. And now Hyundai's telling these sheriff's departments we'll reimburse you for that.
Right.
You know, because of this trend. But this has been going on for quite some time too.
I think like a year. I mean, at least as this has since the TikTok came out, right? Or since it became a pretty big thing.
Yeah. So my question is, and they're saying this software fix has been around for a long, long time. Like the ability to fix this has been around for years. They didn't just all of a sudden come up with this. So like I kind of get into the how much it feels like there's a point where they're like, well, let's just see how many cars get stolen. And it's sort of that bean counter thing, right? Well, when it hits a certain amount of cars stolen, then we'll have to do something. Before that, it's on the insurance companies. It's on the owners. That's your, I mean, and that's how corporations work. I know that's how corporations work. So, but it just
because
feels
if
like,
they don't
oh
have
man,
to fix
you could have done this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, look at that. I didn't know this. Sorry to jump off topic.
Yeah.
Mrs. Carr questions, answers, drives a Venza. Hey, Phil, what's my favorite Toyota?
That would be it.
That would be the Venza.
It would be the Venza.
That is my favorite one. One of the most underrated Toyotas out there by far. I love the
really
Venza.
is. Sorry, you don't hear much about it. I mean, it really
you
doesn't.
Never do. Everyone talks about the RAV4, like, and I don't have a problem with the RAV4, but like, have you looked at the Venza? I really, really like it. It's a really nice.
When I look at the two, but I mean, just to kind of go on to that, it's like when I look at the two, I think the Venza is a much better looking car than the Prime or than the RAV4, and they're on the same underpinnings, correct?
Yeah,
and so like the Venza is much more appointed nicely. You would almost call it more luxury than
it is.
It's I don't like Asian brands. I'm just saying it. Don't shoot me. But
the guy who lives in Detroit doesn't like the Asian brand. I've never heard of such a thing. That's crazy.
I really do like the looks of that car. I really do.
Mean,
I think Toyota did right with it.
I tell you, I test drove the BZ4X when I was buying my Model 3. Drove it around and pulled it back in, and it said, there's no way I'd buy this car. I'd buy a Venza long before I bought this car. The BZ4X doesn't make sense to me. There's too much. The Venza is a much nicer vehicle. So that's, I got excited because I like Brandon and his wife, and I'm glad she drives that car because very underrated.
But yeah, going back to the Hyundai thing, it's like it could have simply been remedied, especially since it's just a software update, you know?
Yeah. On many of these, they have to actually install the computer components to do this soft.
Is this on the older ones or on the
on the older ones?
All right. So then that actually kind of makes sense as to why on a corporate level they didn't want to do anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it's still like a year took a long time. Like
it did.
Because we heard about this a year ago. So it's not like, it's not like they didn't know before this happened that this was, they knew that this was possible, that this exploit existed. So Ashley says people need to check out the Venza. No more RAV4s.
Yeah, why? People need to get off the RAV4. Go to the Venza. Like,
spoken to you from car coaches who see 100 million RAV4 deals a day. We're like, all right, enough with the RAV4.
Do we ever?
Not that we have a problem with the RAV4. I just think we're tired of looking at RAV4 deals.
Yeah, right.
So, although I will say I have seen primes on the lot now. I have seen RAV4 primes sitting on the lot, only in New York, but I've seen them sitting on the lot. Like you can get them. We have a member.
We've heard that first here on our channel.
Yeah.
RAV4 primes, New York.
That's right. If you want a RAV4 prime, come to live chat and ask Ashley, and she'll be more than happy to look at that deal.
Yeah, that's it.
So, all right. Well, here we go. We've hit 30 minutes, Phil. And
Yes, we have.
unlike on my channel, the EV channel, where I let things go, I am trying to keep this tight like Zach does. You all have no idea how hard Zach works on this. Now that I'm trying to fill in for him, oh my, this is not easy.
Justice, you're doing a great job, man. Thank you for doing it.
I appreciate that. So I do have on that note, we have questions about yesterday's show that I want to ask everybody. If you found it useful for us to do some car reviews, would you like to see that more often? Not necessarily here. Would you like another channel? Would you like us to do that on Saturdays? Would you like to see more deal breakdowns? We'd like to hear your thoughts on that. As well, we have, I'm going to put this here in the chat, this link right here in the chat for people, and I will pin this as a comment as well afterwards. We are redoing the CarEdge report. So if you could go on there, if you want to click on that and run CarEdge report and do some tests for us, that would be fantastic. We really need your feedback on the report. So again, if you've done it before, this has changed. We have a couple different versions we're trying out. We've got some big changes based on user feedback. We want some more. We're not going to roll out a CarEdge report until we know that it's a great, useful product for all of you. So I dropped the link in the chat there. Please go to that, sign up and run some reports and give us your feedback, please. Those who watched the electric show yesterday with Kimberly and Catherine, this is Catherine who runs this. So that's who you'll be sending your feedback to. So please get that out there and give us all your thoughts on that. Any closing thoughts for you, Phil?
I just see a whole lot of yeses about doing the deal reviews, and I like that. I think it's a great information to share with folks on what we see every day, and to give some insight on what's going on, like real deals, and
what it takes to do some deals. Like I think, you know, I know I've had a few members who think, you know, we press this magic button and get the deal and don't understand. Look, it takes me about 15 minutes to do a deal. If it's a lease review deal, that takes like double the amount of time. So just, you know,
it does.
Bear with us. We do these. This is what we do, and this is how we do it. You get to see how the sausage is made, and you know, if people want more of that, I think that is definitely something that we should be doing, and we'll have to figure out how to do that. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Click that link. Give us your feedback on those on the CarEdge report, please. That is something we're very, very excited about. And Phil, I guess Phil is over there. Phil is an integral part of helping that report come to life too. So, you know, give us all the feedback. Yeah, it's going to be great. So thank you very much for being here, Phil. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see everybody.
I do need to mention one thing, Richard. He's asked twice about the piano. That's not mine. This is a fake background.
That's not your.
Not your house? It is a nice piano, though.
It is a very nice piano. It is. I'm glad you didn't pick a rundown shack as your background. That was smart.
That would be great.
Thank you, everyone. We will see you all, because I know you're all going to tune in to CarEdge Electric Unplugged here in 10 minutes with me and Mario, where we will be talking about all the electric stuff, right? Everything that you wanted to talk about there.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping it separate, Justice. Thank you for keeping it separate. Nice job. Bye, everybody.